But as Bobby was growing up, needless to say, his mom and dad were mutes, and he had to talk with his hands a lot, and he was very expressive with his hands and his facial, I've seen a million different smiles out of Bobby Smith. I must have shot a zillion photographs of him, and no two ever turned out the same because he had a different smile and a different expression for every act that he ever did, and every friend that he ever met. You thought he's the only friend, Bobby, I'm the special buddy, and he did that to everybody. Everybody has a star come through their life, and in my case, it was Bobby Smith. He was like family, but he was a star. He was the kind of fellow that could touch your heart and make you enjoy yourself. It didn't matter where you were, what the circumstances were, and I just want to do him some justice here. Now, Bobby co-founded the Poor Souls in 1967, and he was the only consistent member of the Poor Souls from that time up to the time he passed away. And there was a lot of guys came and went with that group. And needless to say, we loved them all. But Bobby, he was my man anyway. Let me just say that. I love Butch and Roger too, but they know where my heart's at, I'm sure. And I'm just trying to pick up some highlights here. I'm about half dyslexic and half blind too, so y'all just sort of forgive me. Now, one thing I want to also mention was some of the people that Bobby had performed with over the years. I'm going to just read off a few of the names. This kind of blew my mind. He performed with people like Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. He performed with the Spinners, the Temptations, the Four Tops, Ray Stevens, Norman Johnson, chairman of the board. Let's say a little prayer for Norman. He just passed with us the last couple of days. Archie Bell and the Dells, dignitaries that he had entertained over the years. He took a lot of pride, and he entertained Richard Nixon, and then my favorite president, Ronald Reagan. So we know of two presidents that Bobby entertained, not counting our boy Strom Thurmond from down here in South Carolina. And you guys from North Carolina, Jesse Helms, By the way, how'd y'all like those cocks the other day? Can I hear it for the Gamecocks, please? Anybody in South Carolina? Okay, but going over this thing, Bobby, over the years, he did a lot of funerals for folks. He would come in, a friend of his would die, or a parent of a friend of his would die. He would go out there and do these services for them and never charged them. And I don't know how many of you folks have ever went to one of Bobby's barbecues, but Bobby would have a barbecue every November. Him and Jane would have hundreds of people out there, 500 of them sometimes. And I know Bobby and Jane sit out there in their garage one year, chopping slaw all night long. I mean, he put his love into every one of those barbecue sandwiches y'all ate. That was a little piece of Bobby giving back to you his love, and thank you for coming out and patronizing the Poor Souls and him. And it was just a wonderful thing. And I know I'm not doing him justice here and running my mouth, but that annual barbecue touched me, and knowing that he could feed that many people and never ask a nickel from anybody, that's pretty unusual, no Hardy boy, because we're going to try to get in your pocket anytime we can.
Amen, brother.
One thing that he was in his element, though, when he was singing and doing his thing, he was on stage, Bobby was in his element. And he could go through a crowd and know every one of you and remember your names. I got half-timers. I hadn't got quite the alls yet, and I can't remember. I got CRS, I guess you'd call it. But Bobby could always remember a person and know who that person was, know their name, tell you circumstances about them. And I had to rely on him to give me a little bio on a lot of people. Even when we first started doing this thing here, folks would come up and say, "Hey, Butch, how you doing?" I couldn't recognize who they were, and I turned around to Bobby, I said, "Who was that?" And he'd tell me, say, "Don't you remember such and such?" And then they'd bring it back. I was a little bit slow, but Bobby helped me out a lot. But needless to say, on November the 29th of 2009, I'm still back in the last century, we lost Bobby. And Bobby's getting ready to be introduced into the Beach Music Hall of Fame down here. He was a great songwriter, needless to say, a fantastic entertainer, and I was proud to call him a friend. I looked at him more like a brother, it wasn't a friend, and I'm sure a lot of you guys in here felt the same way about him. He was my golf buddy, and needless to say, we were out there beating that ball yesterday, and Bobby was on a lot of our minds, believe me, because we all sit and chit-chat about Bobby and John, but especially Bobby. And thanks to Christopher, his son, I was able to think about him every time I hit the ball because I happened to have his driver in my golf bag when he died. And told Chris about it. Chris says, "Keep it if it's that old coat because I can't hit it anyway. And I tell you the truth, that's the most treasured gift that I've got. And I got out there, and every time I hit that ball, Bobby's out there on that golf course with me. And I don't know how many of you guys got to play golf with him, but it was an experience, believe me. And we didn't keep score, I mean, not like most people do. You know, you couldn't get worse than a double bogey when you play with me and Bobby, so we didn't ever have a real terrible score, but it was always fun. I'm sitting here trying to think. Basically, I think we've hit most of the high points, but needless to say, the beach music was his thing. It was his thing since the late 60s all the way up to the time he passed away. And I know Buzz and I were talking a moment ago, the guy that runs the Ducks here, and we're going to have a special little place down here in Ducks 2 where we're going to take a little bit of Bobby's ashes and have it in a little container with Dewey, Kennedy, and a few other ones down there. But there's going to be a place of honor here at Ducks for Bobby Smith in the future. They won't have it up for a little while, but it'll be on the wall downstairs in the near future. So as you come back to Ducks, you can always know there's a little bit of Bobby here. And at this time, I would like to bring up Butch Stone's son, if I could. Thank you guys so much.
How you guys doing? I'm Daniel, I'm Butch's son, and he wrote a letter to you guys that he wanted me to read. So I'll just get right into it. It says, "Greetings, Harding, Westmead reunioners, former classmates, and all Westsiders. I'm amazed after 6 years, or is it 7, my chemo brain is kicking in. The Harding Westmead reunions are still going stronger than ever and getting stronger every year. My hat is off to the vision of its original founders and to all those who have worked so hard after year to plan and execute such an outstanding event. I know it has to be a lot of hard work and personal sacrifice to make these reunions happen. To all the committee members and everyone involved in giving us a wonderful first-class reunion at OD, I thank you very, very much. I personally feel so honored to have been asked to perform at every one, and I know Bobby and Roger feel the same way. Those experiences will be forever tucked away in my heart. Many of our lives have changed over the past 6 years, and many as a direct result of coming to these reunions. Old friendships from high school have been renewed. I know several people that have been reconnected after 20 years of not seeing each other. New romances have been born. We have all met new friends at the reunions and welcomed non-West Side spouses of our classmates. There has also been some not-so-good changes over the past 6 years. Several very special friends have passed on during this time. They were all very special. These people all left something behind for us all. The memories that we shared with them, they will always be in our hearts and minds forever. It was mid-October 2009 when I first began preparation for my bone marrow transplant. The doctors at Duke told me the entire process should last about 1 year for full recovery. Boy, was I in for a surprise. My first thought was, that's great. I will be able to attend the 2010 Harding West reunion. Well, a year has come and gone, and I am still not even close to full recovery. I have had so many setbacks, most of them have been viral infection related. I am still faithful that the Lord is going to bring me through this, and despite the shingles that I'm fighting now, I do feel somewhat better. My doctors assure me that I have a good graft, but a very slowly acting one, and to just give it more time. So that's what I'm going to do. I want to say thank you for all the prayers many of you folks have said for me, and for all the wonderful inspirational messages that have left me on Karen Bridge. Cards you've sent me, personal emails, and phone calls. In some of my darkest moments, I would go to Karen Bridge and read your messages over and over again. I would imagine all the prayers that had been sent up for me, and I would thank God for my angel Vicky that was right there by my side 24/7. No matter how this turns out, I have been very lucky to have grown up around such a wonderful family of West Side friends and somehow wound up with a woman like Vicky. Don't try to tell me there is no real West Side bond. There truly is, and I have felt it daily for the past 6 months. Your messages have given me the hope and inspiration to stay positive, and your prayers will eventually pull me through full recovery. I pray that this will be the best reunion ever and that I will see you all next year at Doug's. So God bless each and every one of you, and thank you for all being there for me. In the bond, Butch.
Thank you for that, Daniel. Daniel Stone, everybody. Appreciate that. And Kathy, I promise this will be a brief speech. My name is Christopher Smith. I'm Bobby Smith's oldest son. I just appreciate everybody welcoming me here this weekend. Your words have been very kind, your stories funny, and I just feel I feel blessed by being here. It's kind of a homecoming. If you're from west side of Charlotte, there is a bond here, like Butch said in his letter, and I appreciate everybody being here. I appreciate you being here today to honor my father. Really, all I wanted to say is, my dad, he loved performing. If you knew Bobby Smith, then you were going to meet him. Even if you were a stranger, you weren't going to be a stranger for long. He went overseas, and my brother and I went to Europe. And my brother was really happy because he said, finally I get a chance to go with my dad where somebody doesn't know him. And Bobby Smith, my father, said, well, they don't know me yet, son. Sure enough, Don't You Know Who I Am became the title of his solo album. So that was Dad, front and center in introducing me and my brother to lots of foreign people who quickly became friends. Again, my dad loved performing, but I think what he loved most was coming to the Harding West reunion because it was a homecoming for him. He loved SOS. He sang about it and came down here, but he was always excited to talk about coming to the Harding West reunion, seeing folks, people telling me hello through my dad, and really for me, I'm just blessed because a lot of your children are my friends. I went to school with them. I've grown up knowing them through the years, and love and very dear to me. So thank you for that. But one thing Daniel and I talked about last night is so many of you have come up to me, and like I said, it's a blessing. We always look at each other as a poor soul's kid because they know so many people, Butch and my dad. They come up and say, hey, your dad and I did this, a funny story, or I just want you to know that your dad sang at my mom's funeral and how much that meant. And a lot of times we might not remember your names, we recognize the faces, but we'll always remember the stories, and we appreciate that. God bless you all for being here, and again, thank you for this tribute to my dad. It means a lot to my family, and appreciate it.